Do you identify with poverty? Are you a part of the group that pinches pennies to make ends meet? Or are you a part of the group that lives paycheck to paycheck with no savings? Or if you don't identify with poverty, I want you to close your eyes right now. Tell me what images come to mind when you hear the word poverty. Do you see a city or village that's ridden with crime, drugs, and little to no resources? Do you see long lines in the welfare office, mass homelessness and hunger? Or do you relate poverty to a particular race? And I know what race you're thinking about. For a good time in my life, I identified with poverty. But what does poverty mean? For me, it's more than just the circumstances and lack of resources, but the crippling mindset that comes along with it. No one teaches the economically disadvantaged how to think. However, their minds become conditioned by the reactions observed to the circumstances surrounding them. I was a poverty statistic. No one in my family had achieved education beyond a high school diploma, and the crack epidemic of the 1980s caused a disease of addiction that my mother could not recover from. We lived on government assistance, we had very little means, and my father was not in the picture. From the day I was born, I had already been placed into a small box of low achievers. I was the statistic, right? I was poor, Black, and from a single-parent household. No one home to read to me after school. Could you relate to sitting in a fourth grade classroom while only reading on a second grade level? Terrified of being called on by the teacher to read out loud to the class. I remember the embarrassment of having off-brand shoes, secondhand clothing to wear the first few days of school, and feeling like I didn't want to go back. Can anyone here relate to any of the things I just said? I'll assume someone can. Imagine not understanding how to have goals or ambitions greater than the things you had been exposed to. Seeing other people live your dream life, but never truly believing it could be a life for you. What if the role models you had growing up were drowning in alcoholism, drug addiction, clinical depression? What if some of those were even drug dealers? I watched some of my family and my closest peers walk down those same paths because they thought that this was the best that life had to offer them. So you see, we all have our definitions of poverty. Some more severe than others, but all with a certain set of circumstances. These circumstances can place us at a disadvantage mentally and emotionally. They can place us at the lowest spot on a totem pole, where great things and positive products are least expected from people like us. And so we begin to accept that within ourselves. And this is the seedling of a poverty mindset. See, the seed is planted in most who are born into a lower socioeconomic status. And when the seed is nurtured with poor outlook and poor mindset, it grows with you. So how does this affect our mindset? This happens through something known as the illusory truth effect. And this effect states that when we hear or see the same false information repeatedly, eventually we become to accept it as true. Right? The more that we are exposed to that information, the easier it becomes for our brain to process it. And the easier our brain processes the information, the more accepted it becomes. Now, I did say false information, so you may be wondering, what exactly is false? Because coming from a lower socioeconomic level does equate to having less resources and less finances. But what's false is the premise that because you have less, you cannot achieve the highest levels of abundance in your life. See, we've been conditioned to believe that we should not seek opportunities or expect opportunities because they are far and few from our grasp. That we should settle where we're at because things will not change that much for us. And if we fail, that we should not try and try and try again because we had our opportunity and we missed it. But these are the biggest mistruths because opportunity is never equal, even amongst those who are more fortunate. It's the power of your mindset that allows us to create pathways to our own unique opportunities in life. I've learned over time that our mindset can be heavily affected by societal views, statistics, your own environment, your own inner thoughts, right? And before we can make a perception about our circumstance or our capabilities, it's already been formed for us. But it's your responsibility to change that reality. And this is exactly what I did. You see, we carry the weight of society's views and expectations on us from the moment of our very existence. But it's imperative that we are cognizant how these views affect our mindset. So I want to share with you today 4 steps that I used to help me overcome a poverty mindset and transition into a life of abundance. Step 1 is to never stop dreaming. Dare to dream and dream big. You see, our dreams are the wildest and most grand desires of our inner conscious. And if we keep dreaming those same desires long enough, eventually we come to believe that this could possibly be a reality for us. Step 2 is to surrender to the power of positive thinking. Because what we think truly becomes our reality. We have to learn how to guard our thoughts and our mindset and how we react to situations. And if it's not a positive reaction, we have to catch that and make that shift and that change into something positive. See, a positive mindset is the engine inside of our vehicle to getting away from a poverty mindset. Step 3 is to elevate your environment. Now, this doesn't mean buying a condo in the most affluent area in town, right? But it does mean making small changes in what you listen to, what you watch, and who you surround yourself with. Your innermost circle, and that's those who are closest to you, should always match the energy of your ambitions. And step 4 is to welcome with open arms failure. You see, we cannot be afraid to fail because failure is part of the process. And so instead, we should welcome it as an opportunity to learn. And so in closing, I want you guys to remember that yesterday's poverty does not have to manifest as tomorrow's shame. You see, our mindset is that vehicle and the key to allowing us to get to the highest levels of abundance we need in life. And the one thing that is always equal, no matter your economic status, is always the power of your mindset. Thank you.